most dangerous potential 7 seed to shake things up?
Well, there's a caveat. The
Okay.
caveat would be if Tua Tagovailoa is playing. If he's playing, the Miami Dolphins are. Because Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are something special. And when they're clicking on cylinders offensively, it seems to be inspirational for the defense because the defense plays better than they play at any other time. Dolphins have impressed me throughout this season. They haven't been elite defensively, but they certainly can make some plays and they can make some things happen, particularly when Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are getting their thing on. And so I think that I would keep that in mind. I think that when we look at the Steelers, I'm very pleased with what I've seen from Kenny Pickett in late game situations, in particular over the last couple of weeks. I love this kid Pickens. I don't know why the hell Clay Chasepool is gone. I guess he wanted, Claypool rather is gone. Maybe he wanted to be gone or whatever the case may be. I see Deontay Johnson. I know he can ball, but I just think, and I love me some Najee Harris because he's a stud, and I never blame him for the struggles that he has from time to time out of the running back spot. When the offensive line shows up for Pittsburgh and block for him, this brother is something special and he can make things happen. But I just think that the Steelers' offense collectively is simply not there yet. And because they're not there, that leaves an overdependence on T.J. Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick that I don't think is enough to really make somebody scared in the AFC playoff picture, whether that be Kansas City, Buffalo, or Cincinnati. Miami scares everybody.
Yeah.
If Tua's healthy and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are doing it, they're scary to everybody. And that's why I would go with Miami as the most fearsome 7th seed available potentially.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and primarily it's because, Stephen A., you talked about the Miami Dolphins. We know that the quarterback situation is very shaky right now. Tua, we don't even know if Tua is going to be available the rest of the season. I know he's not playing this week against the New York Jets. We don't know his availability moving forward, and without Tua, that's just a totally different team. The New England Patriots, their offense is terrible. Even though they got a good defense, offense is very shaky. Listen, when I talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think Mike Tomlin, this is one of the best coaching jobs by Mike Tomlin that we've seen, throughout his storied career with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has just been phenomenal, this year. I thought this was going to be the year that the Pittsburgh Steelers will have their first losing season under the tenure of Mike Tomlin because of everything that's going on. You had, you obviously the quarterbacks. Obviously, the quarterbacks, the question about the quarterback position, the offensive line. There's been a plethora of storylines that as it relates to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And all Mike Tomlin has done is put the Pittsburgh Steelers in a situation where they have a chance to get into the postseason with a rookie quarterback. Listen, Kenny Pickett is a guy, he's like any typical rookie. He's going to make his mistakes. But the one thing I know about Kenny Pickett, he's fearless. He's able to move around the pocket, outside the pocket. He's able to make plays outside the pocket. And the Pittsburgh Steelers do have weapons on offense. Now, sometimes, obviously, we talk about when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, the offensive line, it's been getting a little bit better. They're not great right now. And we know what they have on the defensive side of the football with T.J. Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick. I look at just the rest of the field with the shaky situation at the quarterback position with Miami Dolphins, because that would be my obvious choice. If Tua was healthy, I would probably lean Miami. But with Tua not being available and with the way the New England Patriots are playing offensively, I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Can't do it. I would tell you, I want to say this. As a diehard Steelers fan, watching this team earlier on, particularly in the offseason, even before the season began, where the best you could do is give me Mitchell Trubisky, I was not happy at all. Having said all of that, Kenny Pickett has been a pleasant surprise. He's got arm strength. He can make every throw. He can scramble. He's mobile. Deceptively so, I might add. He's not slow. I mean, he ain't the fastest cat in the world. He's certainly not the most elusive. But he can move the chains. He can gain some yards for you with his feet. And he can throw that football. And I think that when you're this young as a rookie, to be a guy that played at Pittsburgh, to be in the same practice facility as a college kid around these guys, and then ultimately to get drafted by them, to then turn around and make believers out of people in that locker room, because no matter how much you struggled, when it counted, you produced. You showed up. Could you imagine what it's been like for him the last 2 weeks to be a rookie? And you got veterans standing on the sideline watching you drive this team down the field and getting the ball in the end zone as a rookie. I mean, that's something. And I think that when you see that transpire, the level of confidence it builds up in Pittsburgh, I like their future. And I like Kenny Pickett a lot. And I'm hoping he doesn't make a lie out of me, because I believe in the kid. But they ain't Miami, bro. Because Tyreek Hill is just electrifying. And Jalen Waddle ain't too damn far behind. And for some reason, when Tua Tagovailoa is in there instead of Teddy Bridgewater, okay?
Well, that's the question, Stephen A. That's the question for you.
I know it's a question.
That's the
question. But I'm saying if Tua is in, it scares the hell out of me. And he made a believer. Hey, D Wood, he went to Buffalo, man, in inclement weather.
He played
in
well.
Inclement weather.
Right.
It was cold. It was snowing. There was a blizzard coming down. And the brother was balling. I got to give it to him.
Yeah.
Miami, man. Listen, man. If Tua can play,
I know, but
Miami can beat anybody.
Those head injuries are
They've lost
concerning.
5 straight, I believe.
I agree.
And a lot of that was with Tua.
I understand.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. But I mean, you lose to Buffalo, but you put up 29 points.
That's true.
You lose to other teams, but Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill got over 100 yards receiving. I'm just saying, they are scary. They can beat anybody. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.